Hello everybody, it's Mrs. Pound and we are studying weather in chapter 5.2. We have one more video after this, so we are almost done. This is a really long chapter, but as you know, weather is pretty important to our daily lives. We like to know what the weather is going to be. Weather really affects us. You know, is it going to be sunny so I can have a picnic? Or is it going to be raining and I should plan an indoor activity? Um, and even in ancient times and in biblical times, weather was very important. In fact, I bet we all know the saying, red at night, sailors delight, red in the morning, sailors take warning. People have been making observations about weather for a long time to try to forecast it because, as we know, in the Sea of Galilee, you go out in your boat, and if you experience some unsettled weather, it could be a very dangerous situation. Um, so, knowing the weather is very important to us. So today we're going to talk about forecasting weather. Now our objectives are to identify various weather instruments in the data they collect and to interpret weather map symbols. So we have already taken a look at a lot of weather instruments. We've talked about thermometers that measure temperature, barometers that measure barometric pressure, which is important because we know if the barometric pressure is rising, that's high pressure and is going to clear out the area and we're going to have sunny skies. If the barometer is dropping, it probably means stormy, unsettled weather. Also, we have used the anemometer to measure winds, and the winds can also tell us things and help us forecast the weather, depending on where the wind is coming from. So another instrument is a hygrometer. This measures humidity. Right here, this 44%, that is the relative humidity, and we have talked about that. And we know that as the humidity goes up, if that's going up towards 100%, we're going to experience some precipitation. There's also, this is a more recent instrument, a radiosound. This measures temperature, pressure, and humidity. It's this box down here. It contains instrumentation that is carried by a weather balloon up through the atmosphere. So instead of just getting readings on the ground, we're able to get readings at different altitude. And it's called a radiosound because it has a radio transmitter in it that will transmit the information to a weather station. There's also radar, and the most recent is Doppler radar. This helps to track storms. I'm sure you've all seen on the TV the moving radar images that meteorologists use to forecast the weather. That is produced by these, and they help us to track the movement of clouds and storms. We also now use weather satellites. These map clouds, measure atmospheric moisture, determine wind speeds, and calculate ocean surface temperatures all over the world. So it gives us an even better, like radar is just for a certain area, okay, around the radar station. But this, we can get information all over the world, so we can see that there are some hurricanes forming here. There are also our more traditional weather maps. These contain isobars. This is a line that connects points of equal atmospheric pressure. So these gray lines here, these are equal atmospheric pressure, a lot like the iso lines on our contour maps when we studied different elevations. So you should be pretty familiar with this concept. Also on this weather map, it shows areas of high or low pressure on the map. So an L is low pressure and H is high pressure. Also, we see an H at the center of a pressure area indicates where the pressure is the greatest. The pressure will get lower as the distance increases from the center of the high pressure system. So here is a big H, a high. Notice it is completely encircled, and that is the highest pressure in the area. The next isobar out is lower pressure and so forth. So it's like you're on the top of a mountain and the circle's going down the mountain. An L at the center of a pressure area indicates where the pressure is the lowest. The pressure will get higher as the distance increases from the center of the low pressure system. So these ones aren't as distinct, but over here we have an L and it looks like it has a circle around it. This is as if you're in a hole, and each one going out is a higher elevation. You're climbing out of the hole. You're climbing out of a valley. Okay, you're climbing out of the valley pressure-wise. The other thing we're going to take a look at in class, and this is found on page 13 of your reference tables, are these weather map symbols. And so this is called the station model, and it gives a lot of weather information. It tells us the current temperature in degrees Fahrenheit, the visibility in miles, the present weather, which all the present weather symbols are over here. The dew point, which we know when we reach that dew point, we're going to have precipitation. The wind speed and direction. So this points to the southwest. So the wind is coming from the southwest. The wind speed, these little feathers indicate the wind speed in knots. It's in nautical terms because weather is very important when you're out in a ship. So that's why the reason for that. The circle, the percentage that is filled in, shows the percentage of cloud cover. The barometric pressure is actually in millibars and is just the last three numbers with the decimal taken out. It also shows the barometric trend. So plus 19 means that the barometer is rising in the last 3 hours, 0.19 millibars. So the pressure is getting higher, so probably going to be clearing. Precipitation, the amount that they got in the last 6 hours. So that contains a lot of information, and sometimes you will see those on weather maps, especially the circle with the feathers will show the wind direction. You also have your fronts here, the different kinds of fronts, and the symbols for a hurricane and a tornado. So that's all information that is good for us. Also, over here, we've been getting our information in inches of mercury. If you had to convert it to millibars, you could use this over here. So you would just find the inches of mercury, go over, and it would tell you how many millibars that is. The same for the temperature. If you wanted to convert here, there is a temperature scale to help you do that. Okay, so to indicate that you were watching this video, I want you next to the H and L that we just talked about previously, put a big H with a circle around it and a big L with a circle around it to show the high and low pressure. So don't forget your 5 questions, and I'll be back with one more video.